Hi, I'm Jay Seville, the oceanfront realtor of Greater Wilmington, North Carolina, Sunset Beach up to North Topsail Beach, etc. And I'm going off topic today for fun, addressing one of my other passions besides real estate. You got college football, and then you have grilling. So what I found with grilling is there's lots of men out there who actually don't know how to grill. You know, isn't that sad? But that's sort of like me not knowing how to change a fuel filter or the oil in a lawnmower. We're all good at different things, you know, but I'm trying to learn those other skills too. When you have 16 acres of land, you start learning a lot of new things. But with grilling, most people, a lot of folks are just sort of overwhelmed and intimidated by going there, because if you don't learn it sort of earlier in life, a lot of times you just don't go there. And when I talk about grilling, I'm not talking about gas, okay? That's like saying white chocolate is chocolate. No, it's not chocolate. It's its own thing. So gas grilling, you know, it is what it is. It's not real grilling, and real men grill. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm going to show you how to smoke a Boston butt. It's anywhere from an 8-hour to a 12-hour process. But a lot of the challenge is the charcoal and getting it started, etc. But there's a learning curve, but really, once you get the knack down, you can just become a master griller in no time. So let me show you what I'm doing. First of all, you want to get 2 of these. I don't even know what they're called. Something chimney containers. Get them full of charcoal and put some lighter fluid on them. But one of the tricks I've got is this is a bag of lint from the dryer. It's very flammable. So what I do is I put some of the lint underneath. Can't really see it there, but it helps get this fire going underneath it, because it's a tricky process. But the workaround is a regular fire starter type substitute that you light, and it eventually will get this whole thing burning orange, ready to go for you. With your grill, first step, get it cleaned out. You want to set up indirect heat. So all the coals are going to be over here, a big pile of them, and you're going to put the meats you're smoking all the way on this side, which is called an indirect heat. This heat will flow over here indirectly and give it a long cooking process. Another quick note: you want to get this going first, because it takes about 30 minutes for them to get ashed and totally, you know, orange and hot. So do this number 1, and then you can get your grill set up after that. Now everybody, this is one of the best tricks I've ever learned with grilling, and that is for smoking anyway, because you're gonna have an 8 or 10 hour or 12-hour process depending on how you want to work it. And part of the hassle is you have to keep the fire going. So you start off with some charcoal in there, a little mound that is completely untouched. It has no lighter fluid on it, period. And then you're going to take your burning coals and pour them over that, okay? And that will add probably an extra 2 hours to the process of having hot coals and not having to worry about it. It's a great tip to work with. And then later in the day, you know, several hours down line, you'll add like 6 burning coals along the edges, or unburned coals just on the edges, and that'll keep it going real simple. Now, a major part of smoking a Boston butt is getting your rub right. Rub is all the seasonings that go on it. There's a bunch of different recipes out there for rubs. Overwhelmingly, though, they overlap with each other, so you don't have to be worried about not picking the right one. Just get a basic one to get started. I'll put a link at it down below, or something that I use. And then as you get experience, you start tweaking it and adding to it, subtracting from it, etc. Just realized I had left out some of the seasoning. So here's the whole list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different ingredients are in this one. Another point with the seasonings and measurements and all these recipes are very forgiving. You don't have to measure things exactly. Just dump it in there. Here's a tablespoon. If it goes over, that's fine. If it's not perfect, that's fine. And after you do it more than once, you'll have preferences. If you like it sweeter, change the ratio so there's more brown sugar. Right here, this is cumin. And what I should have been doing is pouring it all in this blender instead, because I'm going to have to blend it and mix it up the right way. So I'm sort of double work here. Another tip is, with the brown sugar, use dark brown sugar. I mean, that's the whole point of brown sugar, is for it to be dark and have a strong flavor, not light, which is not nearly as powerful. And you want as much powerful flavor in this as you can throughout the process. Oh my gosh, I was like, man, this doesn't seem like enough rub. And then I realized I had left out the two main ingredients, a 1/4 cup of salt and a 1/4 cup of sugar, white sugar. Since I'm doubling the recipe, I'm doing a 1/2 cup of each. All right, so we got our seasoning ready, a big old pile of it. We're going to put it on both of these, and probably I'll put a light layer of mustard on both of these too, just like spare ribs. And this is where you wish you could find the latex gloves. You know, you never get used to how slimy and stuff this raw meat is. So normally you would wear latex gloves for the process. Almost every time I've done it though, I haven't had access to them. So here we go. Check this and watch out. This will help your seasoning stick on there too. And you do this according to taste. If you really are a person who grew up in an area where it's mustard based, then you just put a whole bunch of this on here. If not, just put a little bit and you hardly even know what happened. So then I'm going to start grabbing handfuls of this and just swishing it out there. And I'm going to just rub it around and do this all over on the front and the back and the sides, flip it over, etc. You get the idea. Yeah, as you can see, these coals are definitely good to go and ready. I'm going to pour them on top of that mound of charcoal that has no lighter fluid on it, and this is going to extend how long my fire lasts by hours. So this is what it looks like after I pour my hot coals on top of the plain coals. Always wear gloves when you do this, because it helps you avoid lots of tiny little burns potentially that you could get, which are really frustrating. If you wear some gloves, it just is really smart. Then you can touch the grate and everything and your hands don't get dirty. Next, I'm going to load my butts over here, the Boston butts over here, and we'll close that drawer and add some wood on top for smoking. All right, real quick, I'll show you. I did put some chunks of apple wood on top. This can provide the smoke. A friend of mine gave these to me. You also buy big bags of mesquite wood, apple wood, cherry wood, etc. And this will last, you know, for about an hour, and I'll come drop another piece of wood on there. Also on the itinerary, frozen chocolate chips. I eat frozen chocolate chips every day. Yes, I am a very eccentric realtor. And not just any chocolate chips, these are the Ghirardelli chocolate chips, 63% cocoa, and I know that's too much information. All right, real quick, I'll show you. I did put some chunks of apple wood on top. This can provide the smoke. A friend of mine gave these to me. You also buy big bags of mesquite wood, apple wood, cherry wood, etc. And this will last, you know, for about an hour, and I'll come drop another piece of wood on there. Also on the itinerary, frozen chocolate chips. I eat frozen chocolate chips every day. Yes, I am a very eccentric realtor. And not just any chocolate chips, these are the Ghirardelli chocolate chips, 63% cocoa, and I know that's too much information. Also, real quick, close the whatever you call them, the grates on one side where the heat is. Down there you can see I've got it closed off. We want the smoke and the heat to travel out to this side, and that gives the flavor to the meat. A big part of it, half the flavor comes from the smoke. And let me tell you, it's amazing, powerful flavor. But it's going to take about 8 hours here. Normally, you cook it to around 180 degrees. Everyone has a little preference on that. If you're super scared of germs, do it to 185. You can even do it lower, like 170. Don't tell anyone I said that. But my way that I use to cheat on this is I cook it for about 8 hours like this, and I'm going to come back and add some sauces and stuff. And then after that, I wrap it in foil, double wrap it, put it directly into the fire, and that sort of helps get the bark cooked, and then I go take it to the oven and let it sit there at 220 until it comes to the final temperature I want for cooking. And that's sort of a faster process. It can cut like 5 hours off the process. Your main flavor of smoking and all that, it's going to come in the first probably 6 to 8 hours. So after that, you can speed it up. Okay, so it's been an hour and a half. Let's look at the meat. Does it look cooked? No. And every time that happens to me, when I smoke Boston butt, I get freaked out. It's not cooking, it's not cooking. Oh my gosh, I need to add more coals. And then I do add more coals. And then I get the thing too hot because I added more coals. Anyway, it was time to add new coals, but the point is, don't freak out if it doesn't look like it's cooking. It's anywhere from an 8 to 13 hour process. It's a slow process. And you just add more heat along the way and it's going to get cooked. It just takes a long time. After, you know, you're 3 or 4 hours in, if it's looking bad, then you'll just bump it up and add a lot more heat. But it's very forgiving and it is going to work out, so you know. Okay, we're about 3 hours in and it really is going slower. Let me say that again. We're about 3 hours in. It's going slower than I want. You can see some, well, I don't know if this is going to look good, some semblance of some cooking getting started, but I think we need a real heat blast. I'm going to redo the coals from start and get it up to like 400 degrees, and that'll warm it up on the other side. It just hasn't been hot enough. And the good news is we still have all day to make this right and get it cooked. You just have to be real patient with the process, and it is an art. I'm a little rusty at it, but it's all going to be perfect in the end. All right, we're about 5 hours into this now. Finally, we're getting a little bit of crust going. You know, it's burning there, getting a little bit crusty. We call that the bark. I'm going to flip it over now and add a new round of coals and get it blasting. I forgot to mention, one of the best ways though, if it's not hot enough, just scoot the meat over to the right and get closer to the direct heat. And that's a workaround if you're a little bit low on coals throughout the process. But I got a new bag. I'm going to blast it. I'm going to flip these over and start getting the bark on the other side. All right, we're about 5 hours into this. And really, I should have started this 3 hours ago, but my coal wasn't hot enough and it's been going a little slow. We're gonna put the mop together, the barbecue sauce that we're gonna mop it with about every 30 minutes and give it a lot of flavor, just cooked right into the bark itself. It's a combination of brown sugar. Just throw some brown sugar in there. It's gonna drive some of you crazy that I don't have a specific amount. And then you put in like a cup of apple cider vinegar, something like that. A little bit more, why not? And then you need to put in a whole bunch of, not a whole bunch, but I don't know, half a cup of barbecue sauce. Pick your poison. And now I'm going to boil this for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm going to take it outside and start mopping, pouring it on the thing with like a little brush mop every 30 minutes all around, and let it cook into it over and over for the next 5 hours. All right, I did the big flip. I flipped them over to the other side. This side has a bark, but it's not crusty enough yet at all. But now though, with this process of mopping it, and this will just keep drying on here, and it'll go through this process a bunch of times. It will become a harder, crustier bark, as this goes on for the next 4 hours. So all over here I'm doing this, and then on the sides as well, on the back, and all that. You get the idea. You cannot overdo it. That's the benefit of it. You cannot overdo it. It's so easy. Here in the cracks. I should have done this one first and then scooted it over. All right, you get the idea. We're going to mop it up. A whole new bag of coals going, a whole bunch of smoke. We'll let it go like this for an hour. Okay, it's been a solid 9 hours. So I wrapped one of them up. I put a bunch of foil this way, put it on there, and then I put the foil this way and wrapped it the other way. So it's double wrapped, and I just put it right on the coals. The coals, even though they're ashed out, they're actually still really hot because underneath the ash are still hot coals. And I have one of these, fancy meat thermometers that I still don't understand how to use. But the temperature had gotten up to like 169. I'm going to go for 180. So I'm going to leave this in here like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And then I'm going to take it out, put it over there, and I'll wrap up the other one and do the same. Then I'm going to put them in the oven until they get to 180. And then I'll let them sit for an hour so that the juices diffuse back out. And then at that point we pull it. But in the meantime, I'll make some homemade barbecue sauce type stuff as well. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Check this out. We got some bark going on, a little bit blackened. That is the most delicious stuff of all. So I'm going to spin these around to the other side and mop them some more and see how hot my fire is. This is about hour number 6 now. Okay, look at that. I mean, that is gorgeous meat right there. So I'm going to flip it over for the last time and do about 2 more hours. Then I'll wrap it up and put it directly in the coals, get the bark locked on there, and then go put it in the oven to finish it off till I hit the right temperature internally. Hey, so I hope you found that tutorial on smoking barbecue helpful, informative. Maybe it lit a fire under you, in a manner of speaking. The next night I had 4 rounds of barbecue. It was great. But now the nice thing is, because I cooked 2 of them, that's 18 pounds. We have probably 12 pounds of meat just ready to go. Half of it frozen and the other half ready to eat for the next week or so. And in a month, I'll get out the frozen one, thaw it, and it'll be just as good with no work, no cooking necessary. So if you're ever going to smoke a Boston butt, which is pork shoulder, always do 2 of them. It's the same amount of work. You might as well have something left to show for it a month later or 2 months later when you feel like barbecue again. Thanks so much, and sometime reach out to me. Let me know what you're looking for in terms of coastal North Carolina real estate, oceanfront, ocean view, waterfront, deep water, retirement community. All the scenarios that I work all the time. Reach out to Jay Seville, and I can't wait to meet you guys. All right, so after you get the 2 Boston butts out, you let them sit for an hour, and then you pull them. You just get 2 forks and pull them against each other and rip the meat as much apart as possible. Or you cut big chunks of it off, put it in a bowl, and start cutting it with a big knife or something. Then you're going to take that homemade sauce, and you're going to be just pouring it in here as much as you want to taste. And I did not make enough, although I'd already used some of it. But you just want the meat to soak in this homemade sauce you make. And as you do it more often, you'll figure out the ratios you like, etc. Alright, so I have these Boston butts wrapped in foil in the oven at 350. And the goal is to get them up to 180 degrees. One of them is now. So real quick, I'm going to move the thermometer over and see if the other one's at 180. And if it is, I'm going to take these out and let them sit for an hour and let it cool off and the juices flow back out to the whole piece of meat. At 180 degrees, I took these out. I unwrapped them a little bit. You can hear it boiling inside. And I'm going to let it sit for an hour, and then the hard work starts, which is pulling the meat. And when you've got, I did 2 9-pounders, so it's going to take quite a while. But down here, you see down there some liquid. That's the juice. And that stuff is unbelievably delicious because it's grease. That's melted fat plus the seasonings. And you use that, you don't throw it away, you use that as you flavor all the meat together when you pull it. Over here are 2 homemade sauces. One is just real thin vinegar base called Carolina sauce. And the other is that standard mop I did where you just throw in a bunch of brown sugar, apple cider vinegar, and some actual barbecue sauce of your flavor. Boil it and use that for the meat to soak in after it's all pulled out and stuff. I have 2 kinds because my daughter mentioned she really likes just the vinegar-based kind. So about a quarter of what I pull, I'm going to set aside for her. So this one's been in there about 5 minutes, and it seems to have peaked at 167, even though it's wrapped and it's inside on those coals. You can hear it making noise. That's all the juices that are boiling inside. So I'm going to take that out now and replace it with the other one. Okay, look at that. I mean, that is gorgeous meat right there. So I'm going to flip it over for the last time and do about 2 more hours. Then I'll wrap it up and put it directly in the coals, get the bark locked on there, and then go put it in the oven to finish it off till I hit the right temperature internally.